Hey peeps, or as I affectionately call you, hi beeps. I
That's the new
know
thing.
it's Super Bowl week, and this is going
Woo!
to be an atypical, unconventional after hours Super Bowl week. We're doing it all different this year as your host starts decade number 2 on CBS Sports Radio. Producer Jay and I have been brainstorming, and we decided you love video. I don't love video, but I love that you love video. And so we're doing a Super Six series all of Super Bowl week leading up to the big game on Sunday, February 12th. And that includes your next video version of Ask Amy Anything,
Oh yes.
Super Bowl style. I know you're all jealous of my hat.
Ask Amy Anything,
There we
Super
go.
Bowl edition. We have
Super
done
Bowl.
football kind of editions before, but this one is going to be pretty strictly Super Bowl themed questions here, and including a rapid fire at the end. So before the Super Bowl game starts, everyone knows we have the commercials. So Jordan asks on this first question, are you someone who looks forward to the Super Bowl commercials, and are there any over the years that stood out to you or stick out to you that you remember?
I used to look forward to Super Bowl commercials. It feels as though they've gone off the deep end.
They're crazy.
the
They're
more
out there.
money, the more money companies have to spend on them, the crazier they get. But I will say I always look forward to the Budweiser Super Bowl commercials because they come up with animal themed ads, right? Remember the Budweiser frogs, or is that before your
Yeah.
time?
No, I
Okay.
remember them. Budweiser.
Budweiser. I remember
Yeah.
the Budweiser frogs. They were fun. But also, I love horses. Ever since I was a kid, I've always loved horses. So the Budweiser Clydesdales are my
Mm-hmm.
favorites. For those of you who remember, right after 9/11, the Super Bowl following 9/11, so it would have been early in 2002, there was a very emotional Budweiser commercial with the Clydesdales, and one was down on a knee, and it was just very emotional. And they're
I remember
always
that. Yeah.
tugging at my heartstrings with these Budweiser Clydesdales. So I always look forward to those. Those are some of my favorites. And I will say in recent memory, a couple years ago, the 100th anniversary of the NFL, we got that incredible commercial with all of the greats, both
Yeah.
past and
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
And they were in the ballroom, or that dining room where all chaos and hell broke loose. And it
Uh-huh.
was amazing to try to go back and see, oh my goodness, look at that great and that Hall of Famer. Wow, that was amazing. And the story behind the NFL getting all of those past and present players in the same room together and coordinating it. And it wasn't just players, right? It was coaches. Sarah Thomas was in it as the first female to ever officiate in a Super Bowl. The story behind getting that group together and pulling off that commercial is also just as amazing. So I like those. I generally like the Doritos commercials. They always seem to have some pretty classic or epic themes too. So those are some of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah, those are amazing. I remember that one with the players was so cool. That
Yeah.
ballroom one. That was
But think
awesome.
about the coordination that had to go
Yeah.
in to just getting them in the same
In the same
place at the
room,
same
right.
time.
Yeah, their
Because
schedules to coordinate. And then the choreography. Yeah, the whole thing. That was unbelievable.
my people get to your people and to your people and to your people. Yes.
And they did, and it worked. So cool. All right, moving on here. Super Bowl, biggest of games. Tensions, excuse me, and emotions are high. Mike wants to know, have you ever cried when your favorite team has lost a big game in your lifetime?
Okay, first of all, I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm emotional. I cry when I'm tired. So, yes, your girl cries all the time. But specifically about sports, certainly before the Denver Broncos won their first two Super Bowls in the late 90s, and then this obviously was with Peyton Manning, but going back to the days of John Elway and Terrell Davis,
Mhm.
I watched them suffer through a 42-10 loss to the Washington Redskins and Doug Williams, and then worst Super Bowl loss in history, theirs 55-10 to the San Francisco
Oh gosh,
49ers.
yeah.
I do not remember exactly the years, but it was in the, I think it was 80s into the 90s, maybe. I've tried to repress those memories, but yes, I cried. And also, when I was just growing up and I was falling in love with the NBA and the Boston Celtics, that's why I'm in this business. Larry Bird and the Celtics, that iconic starting five for the Celtics in the late 80s and the early 90s. They lost to the Lakers a few times, and those also crushed me. So absolutely, I've cried. I cry over sports all the time, whether it's an emotional moment, a national anthem. I pretty much cry over the national anthem for every big game. But yes, definitely over football, and definitely when my teams have gotten their rear ends beat.
And you do take great photos of national anthems when you're at games. I've seen them.
Oh, that's my favorite photo to take. Yes.
Moving on. Corey wants to know which
Hi,
stadium,
Corey.
which stadium would host your ideal Super Bowl? Not teams, just where would you like to watch a Super Bowl game be played? Which stadium?
Of course. I think that some of the cold weather stadiums that are not enclosed really get the shaft.
Be fun.
So a few years ago, actually, it's been almost 10 years ago now, not quite, but New York hosted a Super Bowl. And I get it. The wind chills were below zero. The temps were frigid most of the week. But on the day of the Super Bowl, it was temps in the 50s, if I remember correctly.
It was. It was like
So
52, I remember.
it worked out perfectly, actually. And then it snowed the next day. So it was like the perfect timing. But yeah, there are some iconic stadiums in cold weather areas that would be amazing for Super Bowls. Could you imagine in Seattle and the atmosphere that they get with the 12th man? I know it would be different unless Seattle was there. But how about in Denver, where the crowd loves their football, or Arrowhead? Not Burrowhead, Arrowhead. Could you imagine that place being jammed for a Super Bowl? One of the best atmospheres in the country for a football game. I've been there in the cold weather for a Big 12 championship, so college football. It was early December. I couldn't feel my feet by halftime. I was down on the field. It was amazing. Those fans are tough. They definitely would show up regardless of the temps, as we saw with the AFC Championship. But I would be remiss if I did not mention Lambeau. Could you imagine a Super Bowl in Green Bay at Lambeau? I mean, if you don't like the cold, don't go, but it would be phenomenal. Could you? Oh my gosh, that would be perfect.
A Lambeau Super Bowl? Yes, sign me up. I think I'd have to try to find tickets to that one. That would be unreal.
The NFL discriminates against cold weather stadiums.
I think people would love it, a Lambeau Super Bowl or an Arrowhead Super Bowl. That'd be so cool to me.
But it's partly because they do so many activities outside with the NFL Fan Fest. But again, if you're used to the cold, it's not going to be a deterrent for you.
Right. And if you like the cold, like you said, don't go. Anyway, moving on here. Now we're going to get into a little more specific Super Bowl plays. Cheryl asks, do you have a favorite moment or just a play in general from a particular Super Bowl that stands out to you? So a favorite play, maybe not just a play that stands out in Super Bowl history.
Say no more. You had me at play. We're good. Going back to the days of John Elway, and that's why I love football. John Elway was one of those who always saved the best for last. He performed his absolute best when the pressure was ratcheted up, similar to what we hear and see from, say, a Patrick Mahomes or a Joe Burrow or even a Tom Brady. God rest his soul. I'm kidding. Anyway, going back to the late 90s, the Broncos still had never won a Super Bowl. They were playing against the Green Bay Packers, and they were double-digit underdogs in the Super Bowl. And the game's going down to the wire, only a couple minutes left, and there's a 3rd and 6 on the Green Bay 13-yard line. And John Elway, who was a running quarterback in his own right, he wasn't a Lamar Jackson, but he would scramble. He was athletic. He would use his legs, for those people who don't know who John Elway is. Oh, dear. Anyway, he decided to take off and run. And as he does, he clashes with a defender right around the first down line and gets up in the air, spins. They call it the John Elway helicopter play. He gets completely jacked up in the air, spins all the way around, but his momentum and his athleticism carry him forward. He gets the first down, and the Broncos are able to secure the win. It was amazing, iconic, epic, my absolute favorite Super Bowl play. My heart nearly came out of my chest. I don't think I could sit down at that moment. And I just remember the tension, the nerves. I had no nails left. I was a total disaster. But that play, finally, years and years of futility for Broncos Nation and for John Elway. And they were able to beat the Packers in a huge upset in the Super Bowl. That was 1998, so the 97 season.
Yeah, I remember that play. I was young, but I've seen YouTube and the
You would never
highlights of
forget
this.
it.
Yeah, right. You just see John Elway spin like a helicopter. You don't forget that. So good stuff. That's a good one. All right,
I
we'll move
don't
on
think
to
that play would be allowed anymore. That's
oh,
probably against
yeah,
the rules now. So thank
right.
heavens
Yeah,
football was still a contact sport then.
yeah, we used to see that play on like highlight reels and NFL films,
Oh,
and now they
still do.
like,
It's
oh,
one of the top
yeah.
plays in Super Bowl history.
All right, we'll move on here. Frank wants to know, just as a fan standpoint from your fandom, who would be your dream coach and quarterback Super Bowl winning combination? Now, they don't necessarily have to play together or have played in the same era, but what coach and quarterback combo from NFL history would you like to see as a tandem win a Super Bowl?
Well,
Interesting question.
I love Tom Landry, Dallas Cowboys coach, who used to wear, was it the fedora on?
Yeah.
No, was it the
What
fedora
hat?
on the
Yeah, the fedora,
sidelines? The
right? Yeah,
classic
yeah,
hat.
yeah.
Forgive me if I have the wrong hat, but Tom Landry, and that was like early when I was first falling in love with football. My brother loved the Dallas Cowboys. I would love to see Tom Landry or say a Vince Lombardi, right? Two of
Mm-hmm.
the most recognizable and respected coaches in all of NFL history. And I had to pick a quarterback.
A quarterback, yeah.
So coach and quarterback. Let's see. I think it would be pretty amazing if Dan Marino finally had
Good
the
one.
opportunity to
Good
win a
one.
Super Bowl. Isn't
Yeah.
that a huge knock against him? The best
It's the only
quarterback
knock,
never
right?
to
Yeah.
win a Super Bowl. So that would be pretty amazing. Let me think of one that's a little more current that I would love to see win a Super Bowl. Gosh, poor Matt Ryan. Everything that he went through and how
He was
close he
close.
came. So that was one. Let's see, who else can I think of right now who's playing in the NFL who desperately needs a Super Bowl? I mean, the Vikings as a team, I would love to see them break through. The Bengals, to be sure, but how about the Lions? I'll say Bengals. I think it would be pretty cool if Joe Burrow and the Bengals were finally able to break through. Some redemption for that franchise. They've got a bunch of Hall of Famers. They've got some pretty amazing history, but just have never won the big game and didn't get back there this year. But yeah, it'd have to be one of those coaches that used to do things so differently. They had style, they had flair. Winning isn't everything, it's the only thing, is that Lombardi's incredible phrase. So yeah, it'd be kind of a mix of throwback and present day.
So Vince Lombardi and Joe Burrow, I'll take that combination.
That would
Sounds
be
good to
fun.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll take that for a decade. All right. All right, a little bit of a fun one here comes in from Lisa. She asks, "Do you watch the Puppy Bowl every year before the Super Bowl? Are you?"
I love puppies, but I've never actually watched the Puppy Bowl. I know they have a kitten bowl or a kitty bowl now too, and I've never actually watched them. And here's why: it's nothing against the animals. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of animals. It's really a redeeming quality of social media, right? That we have baby animal videos. The thing is, by the time we get to the Super Bowl, it's been so hyped up. There's been so much pregame. I just am tired of watching it and hearing about it at that point. I just want to get to the game. And so generally, I'm not watching TV until about 30 minutes before kickoff. Maybe a little earlier. I like to see the pregame festivities, the fanfare with the national anthem, and some of the other fun preparations. But generally on game day, I'm just ready for kickoff. Let's go. And so I don't usually turn on the TV until we're pretty close to game time.
And last one here
I
before
know
rapid.
I'm weird.
No,
Sorry.
it's probably, I mean, it's cute. I've checked it out before. It's all right. Last one here before.
Penny would
Go ahead.
school all those pups.
She probably would. She probably would. They're not that good. They're not.
She'd herd them and she'd school them. She might run over them, actually. She's not very graceful these days.
Well, she's one of the smartest dogs I've known, so she would crush them on those obstacle courses. All right, so last one here before rapid fire. This one's a little bit in the style of a rapid fire question, so I decided to throw it in right before, but it's not
Why
actually.
are you hedging? Come on, let's go.
A little
let's
bit.
Question.
So Joe wants to know, would you rather your favorite team lost every Super Bowl it ever played in or never appeared in a Super Bowl at all?
Like the Bills? Like the Bills.
Yeah.
I should have said the Bills. Well, the Bengals are in
well,
the Bengals are in
yeah,
a
the
similar
Bengals are there too.
situation.
Yeah.
So I just want to amend really quickly to add like an addendum to that question. One of those iconic coaches, yes, but how about Marv Levy and Jim Kelly finally winning a Super
There
Bowl?
we
I would
go.
love
There we
that
go.
too.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Bills. I did not mean to slight you. Wait, what was the question again? Oh, would I rather
Yeah.
my team get to a Super Bowl every year and lose every Super
No.
Bowl, or win
Well,
one?
not every year. Just would you rather your team lost every Super Bowl they ever appeared in, or never make it to a Super Bowl at all?
Well, the Broncos were in that position for quite a while, right? All they did was lose Super Bowls, and it became really difficult, and I hated it for the players, for the franchise. That was their brand, is get to a bunch of Super Bowls, but they're never going to win one. So I would say the former, only because if you're never in the arena, you can never win. But think about it. Again, the Bills, the Vikings, the Bengals in that situation, it is certainly painful to get so close to the promised land and not realize your dreams. But I still say it's better to be there than to be an irrelevant franchise who's never played in one and doesn't have that as part of your history at all. But yes, it is painful to get to multiple Super Bowls and have your hopes and dreams get squashed.
All right, let's close it out here with some rapid fire. Green or red?
What? Green
Think
as
about
in
it.
grass? Why can't you ask me green or orange?
Green or red?
Red.
Chiefs. Heads or tails?
Heads.
Coin flip. Running back or wide receiver?
Wide receiver, baby.
Ooh, game-winning touchdown drive or game-winning goal line stand?
Oh, the latter. I'm all about the defense. But if you had said game-saving pick in the end zone,
Oh,
I'm a free
that's a
safety in
good one.
another life. That would be me.
Really?
End the game on an interception in the end zone in your face.
I like that. No, do you ever talk about me? All right, last one here. Get sacked by an unblocked TJ Watt or get stiff-armed by a downfield running Derrick Henry?
Oh, no, I think I'd rather get stiff-armed by Derrick Henry.
Oh.
It's embarrassing, but then at least you have the chance of getting up. If you get splattened by TJ Watt, that might be the end of your career, especially if he's unblocked. So, yeah, give me the highlight, well, low light video, getting stiff-armed by Derrick Henry for the rest of my life. Could you imagine how the locker rooms treat guys who get stiff-armed by Derrick Henry? Hysterical. But you know what? It's a growing club. It's no longer one or two people. We're talking about a fair number of defenders in the NFL who felt the wrath of a Derrick Henry stiff arm.
Oof, if I was a teammate, I would come in with a couple bags of ice. That's how I would react to my teammate. Here you go. You might need these tomorrow.
You
All right, that's
deserve a little ribbing after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. I love those questions. So our Super Bowl edition of Asking Me Anything, launching Super Bowl week, and also launching our Super 6 series, which means a lot of editing, a lot of planning, a lot of me being nervous because I hate being on video. But if I get to wear this hat, I'm all in, baby. Let's go. American woman, listen what I say.